Hey friends, we're going to be doing some DIY fun decor. This is the most fun I have had in a long time. I had some vintage labels printed out, found them on Pinterest, sent them over to Staples, picked them up, and I've just had the best time. Now you can see here that I have realized that some of my actual spice jars that I use in my kitchen, these are Walmart brand organic spices, and the jars are really pretty. Well, I thought that they looked cute enough that they needed to become something else. I did put the name of what was truly in the jar. I put that on the bottom of the jar so that other people and myself could remember what was truly in there. I don't know, is it nutmeg, ground nutmeg? I don't use a lot of this stuff, but you know, I have a son-in-law who is a professional chef, and I mean, that's what he does for a living, and he is culinary trained, and some of the things I have in my kitchen are from when he has cooked meals and done things for us that he brought the ingredients in, and I don't even know what they are nor how to use them, because I'm a very southern traditional cook, certainly not a chef. But anyway, back to the Mod Podging. I did take some Goo Gone and wipe all the residue off, and then I shined it back off. After you get it wet, Goo Gone's kind of oily. In fact, you could use an essential oil or just about any kind of oil, a little dab of olive oil. That's any oily thing really takes sticky stuff off very well. And I heard somebody say magic eraser takes off sticky label. I want to try that. But get it all wiped off and get it ready for the tiny little label. Some of these labels were very tiny, and I did send them in a variety of sizes. The way that I've been doing this is well, let me show you there. I'm gonna touch the edges with some watered down, I keep watered down antique wax in that little medicine jar. And after you cut these things out, and I have them printed out on a little bit thicker paper, which helps me be able to put them on without them tearing and wrinkling. You know, they're not as fragile. They're easier to work with, in my opinion. So I'm going around the edges, the cut edge especially. I like to touch it so that you don't see any white on that cut edge. And then I go ahead and dab around the edges and on it. And that just looks a lot more authentic to me. And I don't know why, that I sometimes just prefer to, well, ModPodge, there you go. And it's matte finish. That's what I'm noticing, making sure that I mention matte finish. Glossy doesn't look authentic when you're doing this kind of thing. But I could turn that little piece of paper over and Mod Podge the back of the paper and stick it on. Probably be a lot less messy. But since this is going to be in my kitchen around cooking and foods and all kinds of things, I opted for the method of putting a good bit of Mod Podge on my glass so that I would be sure that it was heavily coated all the way around. And you can see I'm dabbing a little extra under the edges, and now lightly going over the top of it as well. Now you can't do that with a very thin layered napkin. Like when you peel that napkin down, paper napkin down to its thinnest layer, if you Mod Podge on top of a wet napkin, well, it's going to tear. It's going to wrinkle up like the wrinkliest thing you've ever seen in your life. And you know, sometimes that doesn't matter. But that's what happens with me. So I just decide to do this way. And then I have a little damp dishcloth that I'm going back around and wiping that off. And then I'll probably get it messy again with some more antiquing wax. And then I'll have to wipe that off the glass. So, you know, it's a process. And after I've done all that I'm going to do to get it looking the way I want it to look, I'll have to clean it off maybe more than one time during the process, but at the very end I'll take a piece of dry cloth and shine it back up, and it just looks fantastic. These little labels are so cute. They're just so cute. Okay, now I'm getting ready to do that second one just the same way that I did the first. This label is going to be a different shape, and when you trim it out, trim as close as you can to the edge of your image without cutting off some of your image, because you don't want it to look like it's been scalped or trimmed too closely. You can always go back with your wax and get the edges of it darkened, and I'm sitting there looking at it realizing, shoot, I did not do the wax before I stuck it on. But there's a way to recover from that. What I'll do is just take my wax and put it on a soft rag, and that way you can still achieve it. It won't quite get as saturated on the very edges of your cut paper, but it can be done. And really, it's one of those things like nobody cares. Nobody can tell the difference. You know, I sometimes get in a habit of obsessing. Oh, I'm actually using the same brush that has ModPodge on it to stick in that wax and just go to town. You know, crafting is not really like an exact science. You can have a lot of liberty with it and it's still okay. Now here you could see that I have decided I'm going to go back and do even more of the watered down wax. You know, it's all a matter of preference. You might want yours very darkened, very aged and dirty looking, and you might want yours to look exactly the way they look when they're printed out, so you wouldn't need to do any. And that's completely up to you and completely up to the project, you know, depending on what look you're going for and what you're in the mood for, what your eye sees and what seems pleasing to you. Must be getting ready to do something with that hot glue gun next. I really honestly can't remember at this point what I'm about to glue, but I was feeling of it to see if it was getting hot. I always lay it on that plate over there. And the other day, Ben told me 2 or 3 times not to forget to unplug my glue gun, and sure enough, I forgot. So he's been doing this since 1988, since we got married, but he's the biggest prankster you ever saw. So he hid my glue gun, and I knew when I went over there and saw that it was missing, I was like, I forgot to unplug that thing, so he just hid it. Of course, he immediately told me where it was when I went to him. He just wanted to see my reaction, and that was funny to him. Okay, now I'm gonna do one of the cosmetic kind of bottles. I don't know, health and beauty aids. What's the old-timey word for cosmetics? I don't even remember. There's probably a word for it. But these I have displayed in my bathroom, and I just have giggled and had the best time playing with those, because I've been putting things in these bottles because they were empty, and I wanted it to look as if they, you know, were truly some kind of products. So I put baking soda in the one that said tooth wash, and that pink liquid is Japanese cherry blossom hand soap, and the hair tonic over there, which, by the way, that was an empty A1 steak sauce bottle. That's just got water in it, just for, you know, to keep it interesting, I guess. Most of the cosmetic label bottles came from my thrift find this past week, and I paid just a few cents for each of those bottles because they happened to be pink stickers and orange stickers, which were 75% off and 50% off. So I was super excited to see those bottles. You can see here that I've taken my little soft dry cloth and I am using the very edge of it with my fingernail to get as much of the glue away from the glass. I don't want there to be any glue showing on the glass. I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt much if they did, if the glue did show a little, but I didn't want it to. Now you can see there's my 3 projects for this video. And now I'm going to show you everything that I did, because I did several more that are super cute. These 2 brown glass jars I found thrifting. They are Joanna Gaines Hearth and Hand jars. This is an actual black pepper can, brand new, that I used that pumpkin spice label on and aged it. This green bottle was from a Renaissance fair. It had some kind of apple cider in it, but that's my Clorox jar bottle. And here are the little cuties on the bathroom shelf. I just enjoyed that so much. That was so fun. And actual Worcestershire sauce now says wine bitters. Just some canola oil. I don't know what's going in the castor oil. And the little spice jars, which I just think are adorable. It occurs to me that I probably could find some spice printouts that look vintage but say the real name on it, so I might go back and make it easier on us. As always, thank you so much for watching. It is the most exciting thing to see subscribers added and how many views I'm getting on each of my videos. It feels like I'm getting to share it with so many friends, and that's just the best. I hope that everyone has a good day today. God loves you.